este clasă, care încă nu-s băgate. Pe lângă druid și celelalte.
Deci Witch, Sorcerer, Warrior și Mercenary sub Warrior, nu vine să cred.
Da, man, pentru că ăla trebuie să-l joci cu WASD, altfel nu ai cum, ori controller. Pentru că și Ranger-ul, de exemplu, și toate clasele Range, adică absolut toate clasele poți să castezi în timp ce te miști. În afară de astea mele, evident, adică... Și cum funcționează Marauderul, trebuie să-l... Marauderul, cum funcționează Mercenarul, trebuie să te miști de pe tastatură cu el. El pare interesant, dar pentru simplu ăsta fapt nu am cum să-l joc. Nu-mi place să mă mișc.
Eu o să încep cu un mercenary și dacă nu-mi place mișcarea și ăsta, îi dau delete și îmi fac Warrior.
Dar eu încă sunt dubii să încep cu... mă joc Infernalist sau
Deci eu
Warbringer-ul ăla.
din ce am văzut până acum, cel mai interesant mi se pare Witch Hunter-ul. De ce? Pentru că mi se pare că o să fie un foarte bun mapper și boss killer. Și de început pentru farm, eu zic că ăsta ar fi the way to go. Ai Culling Strikes, ai Decimation Strike, ai 10% chance for enemy you kill to explode as physical damage, chance double against Undead și Demon. Ai Sorcery Word.
Mă, n-am zis că nu-i mercenar, nu-i interesant. Până am zis, în opinia mea, mie mi-ar fi greu să-l joc. Că dacă pentru mine nu se simte bine, când mă mișc cu el cum asta, nu pot să mă joc.
Îți dai seama că la un moment dat o să încercăm toate, de aia mă duc pe premiza că pentru farm, eu cred că clasa asta, Witch Hunter, mi se pare a fi cea mai șmecheră.
Eu aș înclina pe Warbringer pentru farm. Sau cel mai bun pentru farm ar fi Titanul cu 20 de inventare slot. Ținând cont că ai un singur portal.
Un singur portal? Wait, what? Unde?
Nu un singur. Știi că dacă mori mapă, gata, s-a terminat. Adică nu mai poți să intri în ea.
Păi atunci sunt deja alea 20 inventory slots.
De ce?
Păi dacă oricum ai murit odată în mapă, când îți umpli tu inventory slots?
Păi nu, că tu ai 6 portale. Tu poți să termini mapa, poți să ieși, poți să intri iar. Înțelegi? În momentul în care ai dat fail, ai murit în mapă, caput. Nu mai poți intra. Dar dacă nu ai murit și ai terminat mapa, poți să intri. Ai 6 portale. Ai înțeles?
Da.
Poate vrei să intri, ce faci? Vrei să intri cu 6 prieteni într-o mapă, care-i problema?
Da, bun. Hai să vedem ce mai zice Dart.
It's so fucking hard, it's
De când e
ridiculous.
videoclipul ăsta?
So
Asta vreau
Witch
să
is still
întreb.
winning. Is this?
Cum?
De când e videoclipul ăsta?
Când e de 19 ore.
Da, n-are nicio relevanță să te uiți la ăsta acum, pentru că acum câteva ore au, nu știu, cred că au 10 ore când au dat reveal la toate ascendancy-urile, știi? Și gen tot ce te uiți tu acum, totul se va schimba. Toată lumea o să joace Blood Mage, ai să vezi. O să joace Blood Mage pe Slam sau pe ceva.
Ascendancy Nose Revealed. Nurse. Nu știu ce. Norway. Păi care face clipuri mai bune? Cine e ăsta? Moxie, Ron Ray, Rob.
Nu prea sunt 3 oamenii la ora asta ca să... Seara
Pe
abia.
YouTube, pe YouTube. Open World Games.
In a self-imposed exile, the Dark Knights trained for their return to Camasylvia. A young girl had a vision.
All right, so yes, I was flown out to LA to go hands-on with Path of Exile 2, and I have returned with hours and hours of brand new gameplay and all new details from game director Jonathan Rogers. That's what we're going to be taking a look at.
Blood Mage-ul ăla pe... cu slams, cu ceva. Pentru care crit-ul ăla e nesimțit.
Blood Mage cu slams.
Yep. Melee Blood Mage.
Interesting.
Yo guys, what is up? Moxie here in our Path of Exile 2 video, and today GGG officially revealed.
Hey everybody, Ron right here. Today's video is
Păi gândește câte ai pe el. Ai ăsta, ai Progenes care e băgat în clasă,
Yo
ai
guys, what is up?
Gain Energy Shield from Equipped Body Armor as Maximum Life și cel mai important e ăsta, ci că unul ăsta Increased Critical Damage bonus per 40 life. Și mai este un nod mai mic care îți mai dă încă 1% pe 20. Deci îl faci pe crit.
Imba crit. Pe crit și pe health stack.
Păi bineînțeles. Mai ales că ai și overflow ăla din nodurile alea care îți dublezi HP-ul efectiv.
Moxie here in our Path of Exile 2 video, and today GGG officially revealed all of the Ascendancy nodes. If you didn't see, basically there was a bunch of leaks going on. People were data mining the game, and they decided to just get upfront about it and reveal all of the Ascendancies. Today we're going to be talking about them, giving a brief overview and some of my thoughts on them. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let's get right into it. So to start us off on Sorceress, on the right side, at one node, we've got exposures you inflict lower the affected resistances by an additional 20%. Pretty massive damage increase, especially if you're dealing lots of elemental damage. Then our next node here is Tempest Caller. Grants skills Elemental Storm, which creates an Elemental Storm whenever you critical hit. This is at a target location and it's based on your highest elemental damage type for the hit. So if you're using like 3 different elements, whatever is the highest of the hit will trigger the storm. Hits which do not deal elemental damage will not trigger the storm. We've also got Rain Dancer. Elemental Storm has 150% more cooldown rate. I guess this is going to have an internal cooldown for how often you can proc it. So this will just proc way more often with this node. And then if we come over to our fourth node, so that was our 1, 2, and 3. Fourth node is Heavy Snows. Basically, your targets you can affect by 2 of your chills at the same time, and your chills can reduce action speed by a maximum of 35%, but you have a less magnitude of chill you inflict. And then 5, Shaper of Winter. All damage from hits contributes to chill magnitude. So if you're dealing a bunch of fire damage, that'll actually chill. So if you're going for a cold build, this seems quite strong. On the other hand, the 6 and 7 nodes, if you're basically is the counterpart nodes, but for lightning, targets can be affected by 2 of your shocks at the same time, but you have 50% less shock duration. Shocks are a pretty big damage increase, so getting 2 of them is massive. And then Shaper of Storms, all damage from hits contributes to shock chance. Having shocks up on enemies is pretty big damage increase. Then we've got the 8, 9 over here, which gives you constant gale. You have Arcane Surge. Arcane Surge gives you 10% more cast speed and 20% more increased mana regen. And with the last node over here, at the number 9, 1% increased effective Arcane Surge on you per 15 max mana. Basically, if you're stacking up a bunch of mana, you're going to get a bunch of extra cast speed and mana regen, which is super valuable, especially if you're going Archmage and stacking 3,000 mana. 3,000 mana at endgame would give you the equivalent of 200% increased effect of Arcane Surge, which is just going to be really great feeling. And then the last node in the tree is Heart of the Storm. 40% of the elemental damage that you take is recouped as energy shield. That should be really nice if you're going for an energy shield build. Basically everything else is kind of damage focused, but this is going to be a pretty good survivability node. For Chronomancer, the numbering is a little bit weird, but you should start right here, which means that your 7 and 8 nodes that you can pick up right in the middle. Circular Heartbeat gives you 30% of your damage taken recouped as life, and 8 recoup effects instead occur over 4 seconds. So you're going to be getting a lot of your damage taken back as health. Then on the left side on this 5 node, every 12 seconds you gain 50% more cast speed for 4 seconds.
Stormweaver Archmage Recoup e 8 secunde default. Dar, oricum, nu prea mă tentează. Nu e clasa care să joc eu.
This isn't going to be up
Acum încă încerc să mă hotărăsc între Warrior sau Mercenary.
all that often, but it's 50% more cast
Depinde
speed when it
acum,
is up,
Bata, ce
and
mai
you can
apare,
kind of like
ce
time a
informații
boss
mai apar, că
rotation
nu
during
poți
those
face o
4
idee.
seconds to dish out as much damage as possible, to deal high burst damage in a window, and then get all of that burst damage right back. Seems really powerful. Next, we get the Warrior and the Titan Ascendancy. This looks like, honestly, might be one of the strongest ascendancies in the game, and that has to do with our number 5 node here. Just starting from the middle, going to number 4, we get a carry chest, which adds 20 inventory slots. Nice quality of life, nothing too crazy. Hulking form is where it gets insane. This is a 50% increased effect of your small passive nodes. By the time that you're endgame, you're going to have like 120 passives, and maybe like 90 of those are going to be small passives. So now you're just getting 50% more of like not.
E dublu damage la 50% small passives broken. Păi să știi că la clasa asta m-am gândit și de fapt, uite, chiar am făcut și un skill tree pe Titan. Cam așa arată skill tree-ul. Cu notables. O să îl fac un fel de slammer. Ceva slam skill cu war cries. Cu stun build-up. Și cu aftershocks. Bro. Damn. Dar până una alta. Asta l-am făcut așa la vrăjeală. Ce slam skills avem momentan în joc? Putem să dăm cu search oare? Slam. Ia să vedem. Rolling slam. Slam AoE melee. Slam the ground to stun enemies and knock them away. Then continue forward and perform a devastating second slam. What? Sunder e puternic rău? 2 hand mace, 1 hand mace required. Slam AoE melee. Rolling slam. Nu cred că merge asta de main skill. Main damage source, nu cred că. Rolling slam. Asta e un fel de... nu știu, movement skill poate. Nu. Furious slam. AoE slam, shapeshift bear. Asta e pentru o clasă care nu avem încă, și anume druidul, deci nu. Supercharge slam. AoE channeling slam melee. Two-handed mace required. Channel to charge up a heavy swing, throwing earth form from the ground. Se ăla din video de sare în sus și dă slam, cred. Care e ăsta? Supercharge slam. Nu putem să vedem. Ia să vedem. E super. Caca, ce dracu am făcut. Ce să... Yes, meta. Energy shield will be overpowered in PoE 2. Zice Captain Lance. She will. How to craft everything. Tectonic Slam. Asta e din PoE1. Da, deci nu avem footage.
90 skill points that you've spent. I see this being incredibly strong, and I think we might see some builds going Titan that aren't going slams or aren't going two-handeds just for this node, because like that seems unbelievably strong. In our one node here, we've got 50% more armor from equipped body armor. That's nice. And 8 is 15% more max life. It looks like this was originally 20%, but the official now is 15. So it looks like that has been a bit of a nerf. And then for the 2 and 3 nodes paired together, 2 lets 20% chance for our slam skills that we do to cause aftershocks. And then 3 is every second slam skill used as ancestrally boosted. Ancestrally boosted skill has 20% more damage in area of effect. So every second slam is just going to get 20% more area and damage. Seems really awesome. And then 6 and 7, your hits are crushing blows. Crushing blows cause heavy stun on enemies that are primed for stun. And then with 7, we get 40% more damage against heavy stunned enemies. This seems like we're going to be able to hit really, really hard with single hits. And with this class, if you're going to scale ignites or bleeds, bleeds and ignites both scale off of the hit. If you're going to heavy stun an enemy and then just deal a massive hit to them, that's going to proc a really large bleed or ignite. Seems like it could be really strong. I think you're definitely going to want to incorporate like bleeds or ignites into your abilities, because they just scale off of the hit and they're just going to be another way to add a bunch of damage to your skills. Next, we get Warbringer, the other ascendancy for Titan. With the 1 skill, or the 1 node, we can break armor with basically any of our hit damage, which seems really nice. And then with 2, you can break armor to below 0. If an enemy has less than 0 armor, you're going to get a multiplier against them with your physical damage. So that seems pretty awesome. 3, we get
Chance to bleed e 60% în PA2 și mai probabil i-a dat rework și e mai generic. Adică bleed damage să fie mult mai ok față de PA1. Adică bleed build să fie mai ca lumea. Poate îl pui early sau late ca să dai extra damage. Aha. Test. Ei, e bun, e un lucru bun. Dă și mie link la video, la video ăsta.
Encase in Jade, basically.
Poftim. There you go.
An ability to stop all damage from incoming. It's like an oh crap button. You're about to get hit by a big attack. Now all of a sudden you don't take any damage. With the 4th, we get Ancestral Spirits. Each of your totems will summon an Ancestral Spirit minion to fight for you. If the totem that summoned the minion dies, then the Ancestral Spirit will die too. And then with the 5th skill, 20% of damage from hits is taken from your nearest totem's life before you. Definitely seems like the totem ascendancy. With 6 and 7, you gain 40% of your base chance to block from your equipped shield instead of the shield's value. And with 7, you get 35% less block chance, but you can block all damage from hits while your shield is not raised. So that makes your shield an incredibly valuable survivability tool. You don't have to like actively click it to block damage. But if you're going to go Warbringer, the node that excites me the most is 8 and 9. Corpses in your presence explode when you Warcry, dealing 25% of their life as physical damage. And then Great Wolf's Howl, you ignore Warcry cooldowns. So basically, you can dive into a pack, kill an enemy, and then Warcry. That Warcry will blow up the corpses, which will then kill more enemies, which will then create more corpses. And you have 0 Warcry cooldowns, so you could just spam your Warcries, creating chains of explosions on enemies. That seems really, really cool. And I like that idea. Obviously, might not work super great on bosses, but for like AoE clear, that seems like a really powerful option. Next, we get to the Ranger's Ascendancy, and to start, we've got Deadeye. On the
Zic că în PoE1, dacă nu e oricum
The left side, the 7 and 8, we've got Gathering Winds. You gain Tailwind on skill use. You lose all Tailwind when you get hit. Tailwind's a stacking buff, which grants 1% increased movement speed, 3% increased skill speed, and 15% increased evasion rating per stack for 10 seconds. It refreshes whenever you gain another stack, and your maximum is 10 stacks, which is pretty awesome. That's a ton of evasion, movement speed, skill speed. Should feel really good. You obviously lose all of your tailwind when you get hit, but if you're playing a full evasion build, you're getting more evasion. Things that would hit you won't hit you, and so that could be really nice. But what's really exciting is pairing that with our Wind Ward. We get 3% less damage taken per tailwind. This at max stacks is just 30% less damage taken from everything. So that seems really awesome. And then on this 6 side, we get, you can apply an additional mark. Marks are going to be pretty valuable. They do seem to have a different limit than curses. So you can get called shots for 2 marks and then Whisper of Doom for an extra curse. That seems pretty powerful. Then we've got this like 4A, 4B node where you can either take point blank or far shot, which basically gives you more damage to close enemies or more damage to far enemies. And then your 5th skill is you get an additional projectile. This is going to be pretty powerful, but kind of depends on what skill you pair it with. Our 3rd node, you have no accuracy penalty at distance. Seems solid. You just get to ignore basically all your accuracy and can spec more interesting things. But the node that's like really exciting me about Ranger is Avidity with Thrilling Chase. Now, Avidity gives us a 30% chance that if we would gain frenzy charges, we gain our maximum number of frenzy charges, and Thrilling Chase gives us the benefits from our frenzy charges have a 50% chance to be doubled. Now, this could be one of the stronger nodes, and I kind of want to break down why real quick. So Rain of Arrows, for example, is a skill that fires 53 arrows at its current level, at like level 52. But it fires.
N-are idee ce vorbește la fiecare nod. Seems awesome, seems good. Asta din câte văd de streamer de pe la alte jocuri, că nu e streamer de PoE 1. Nu l-am văzut până acum. Nu mi-aduc aminte să-l fi văzut în PoE 1 community. Deci, no.
100% more arrows if a frenzy charge was consumed, and it fires 50% more arrows.
Dai seama că e cașcoval din camera acum. Clar, frate, o să vezi atâtea clipuri și atâtea clickbait-uri pe YouTube legate de PoE 2. Bă, și eu sunt tentat să fac, care eu nu mă ocup ca ceva. Am un singur canal de YouTube care și ăla e despre pescuit. Mă gândesc să fac unul nou și să încep să fac și eu aberații de astea în pana mea. Pentru viewers, pentru asta că acum cred că cel mai căutat pe YouTube e PoE 2. Mă refer în industria de gaming.
Arrows per frenzy charge consumed. If we proc that buff, which we have a 50% chance to proc, instead of firing 100% more arrows, this now becomes 200% more arrows. And if we've got an additional frenzy charge that fires an additional 100% more arrows, now we're firing like 300% more arrows. And all of a sudden our 53 arrows turns into like 400 arrows out of nowhere. So that seems really, really powerful. And you could pair that with Barrage, which Barrage lets us attack an additional time. So all of a sudden, our like 400 arrows could repeat instantly to fire 800 arrows. And just off of these frenzy charges that we're going to be able to like double the benefit of. I mean, this would repeat an additional time. So then it would repeat again. But like the possibility with like Rain of Arrows and frenzy stacking seems really powerful with this. And it might actually swap me to Deadeye instead of Pathfinder, let's talk about Pathfinder now. So Pathfinder on the bottom, our 7 node, we get 30% less movement speed penalty when using skills while moving, and Relentless Pursuit is our speed is unaffected by slows.
Pathfinder mi se pare cea mai de căcat din PoE 2.
Not like
Până acum.
the most exciting nodes. At 6, Traveler's Wisdom, it grants us 5 passive skill points. That's basically like 1 extra notable. I don't fully understand why Traveler's Wisdom is 5 passive skill points, which is like kind of underwhelming. And the like Titan node is 50% increased of small passive skills, which is like affecting like maybe 90 nodes. That seems a little unbalanced, but you know, it is what it is. And then we've got our flask here, basically brew concoction. We get a concoction that consumes our mana flask charges to throw a like explosion flask that is going to deal a bunch of different things depending on like what you link it to. I think poisonous concoction is probably the most like going to be used. It does poison, and it also has increased poison effect on.
¿Qué? Vale, inmediato.
The poisons that it applies. We've also got our contagious contamination, where our most damaging poison on enemies you kill is. Next up, we get to Witch and Blood Mage. This is actually, I think, the ascendancy that I am most excited for. I don't know how I'm going to play it, but I love dot builds. Part of the reason why I wanted to play Poison Pathfinder. And there's some pretty crazy things that Blood Mage is doing. So first off, you have to go Sanguimancy, which means your skills gain a base life cost equal to base mana cost. So if you have a skill that costs 20 mana, it's going to cost 20 life. But with Life Remnants, while active enemies you kill have a chance to spawn a Life Remnant, and critically hitting a target spawns a Life Remnant every few seconds. Picking up a Life Remnant will grant you life, which can overflow your max life. So we're going to be getting a bunch more life. And then 10% of our spell damage is leached as life. That seems incredibly powerful, and I think the largest source of leech that we've seen so far. With the third skill over here, Open Sores, curses have infinite duration. It seems relatively nice, but the node that I'm most excited for here is Blood Barbs. You gain 10% of your damage as extra fizz damage, and your elemental damage also contributes to bleeding magnitude. So we're going to be able to bleed or increase bleed with elemental damage. That seems very, very cool. You'll be able to go, like, I was kind of thinking about going like Cold Comets. Cold's freezing, it has high crit chance. We go crit damage. And then all of a sudden we've got enemies freezing and bleeding. Could be really interesting. With our 5 node on the left here, Gore Spike, we get 1% increased crit damage bonus per 40 life. We're going to be really incentivized to go crit with this.